If you're viewing this video, you should have already seen the previous two videos on this playlist, which looks at inspecting your data and reverse coding items, and doing the Chromebax Alpha reliability analysis. Please make sure you've done that before you do this video, as items have been reverse coded in the datasheet that I'm working on, and the values in it will be different from the initial raw datasheet. So, we've reverse coded items, we have checked the reliability of each of our scales, and now we have to calculate a mean of each scale. For each scale that we've got, let's say Machiavellianism here, there are 9 items, and what we want to do is condense those down into a single score so that every participant has a single Machiavellianism score. And then we do the same with the narcissism scale. Everyone will have one column with Machiavellianism in, a column with narcissism in, a column with psychopathy in, and so on. These individual items aren't any use on their own. What we want to do is aggregate them together to get an overall picture of that person's psychological construct. So for Machiavellianism, we're going to use all the items. They all were reliable. The alpha with all 9 items in was above 0.7, so we know that it's reliable. We don't need to take any out, so we're just going to average them. So let's do that now. So we go up to transform and compute variable. We put a name in here. I usually just use m underscore and then something, so Mac. Then it's usually a good idea to put something in here. Vellianism, that's the hard one to spell. Then we put the numeric expression in here. Now, the simple way to do it is to just add all the items up. So let's do that. Plus 2 plus 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to pause on 9. It's worth knowing that this is just text, so you can actually type, rather than click across, I could type plus Mac 9. You don't have to click over from there. It's usually quicker to do that though. So we want to add all those up, and then because it's an average, we then want to divide it by the number of items. So 9 items, so we divide, so a slash, which is the symbol for division, 9. Okay, we click OK. This just tells us what we've done. Then if we go back to the data sheet, scroll to the right, and there is our new mean Machiavellianism calculated variable. And that is what you will do analysis on. You won't do analysis on the individual items. We need that single score for that construct. So that's what everyone's level of Machiavellianism is, essentially. So this person's 3.78 Machiavellianist. This person's 3.67. If you remember, the response scale for this was between 1 and 5. So the closer they are to 5, the higher their Machiavellianism. So this person's sort of relatively high. This person's very high, very close to 5. This person's very low, so 1.22, so they're not very Machiavellianist. We would do the same with the narcissism scale. So again, we've done a reliability analysis. We know all of those items are reliable. The Chromebax Alpha, with all the items in, was above 0.7. So we would put them all in there. I'm going to skip that and move to psychopathy, because if you remember when we did the psychopathy scale, 2 items proved to be unreliable. 2 needed to be removed to get our alpha above 0.7. So that means those 2 items are, for whatever reason, we're not sure why, but those are problematic. People are responding to those 2 items differently to the way that they're responding to the other items. If these are all meant to be measuring psychopathy, everyone should broadly be responding to each item the same. They should all be answering in a way that is consistent with their level of psychopathy. But our Chromebax Alpha says, well, people aren't doing that with item 2, and they aren't doing that with item 7. Okay, so those items are no good. As I said in the previous video, we could just delete those items. I could literally just delete them from the datasheet. There you are, I've deleted them and never use them again. That's fine. However, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with deleting things from SPSS. I'm just overly cautious, so I'm going to undo that and put them back in. But you could do that if you want. But the crucial thing is, those 2 items must not be included in the mean. Okay, and that is one of the most common mistakes, is that people do the alpha analysis, don't really understand what it is, and then when they come on to do the Chromebax Alpha, it doesn't work. So let's do it now. We go up to the compute variable, There's the previous calculation, so let's reset that. Okay, psycho. Now this is where your label can come in useful, because what I will often do here is put which items I have excluded. And then I don't have to keep going back to my alpha analysis. I know that this was calculated excluding items 2 and 7. So that's just a useful little tip. So we're going to do the mean again. So we've got psycho 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8. Now, hopefully you are now shouting at your screen saying, no, that's wrong. You're not meant to include 2 and 7. Good. That's what I hope you're shouting anyway. We don't want 2 in there. That was shown to be unreliable. Okay, so it's not a good item. And 7 was also shown to not be a good item. So we're not going to include that in there as well. And close it in brackets. Okay, and how many items have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. So it's divided by 6. Click OK. Again, this tells us what we've done. And if we go back here, we can see here is our psychopathy score. So each participant 1, has a mean Machiavellianism score and a mean psychopathy score, and that is what we will do the analysis on. Again, if you wanted, we could now go back to the Machiavellianism items. We've calculated our Machiavellianism, so we don't need those anymore. We could actually delete them. We'll never use them again. It means you don't have to scroll as far. However, as I said before, I don't like to do that, so I'm going to undo that and put that back in. You could potentially, if you wanted, I've done this before sometimes to make things a bit easier. It is a bit of a pain to scroll all the time. You could delete all your individual items and then do save as up here and save a new copy with just the key variables in it. So you've got one with them all in and also one with them out. That's just for convenience. That's up to you. So we've now got our scales here, and we could then so let's do one more. Let's calculate our Facebook surveillance scale. So I think everything was it's reliable with those all in, so we don't need to remove any items. Let's give it a new label, Facebook surveillance, and again we are just going to do them all in the box. Plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 items. We didn't remove any. They were all reliable. None needed to be get rid of. Divided by 10. Okay. And there's our new Facebook surveillance scale. Again, we could delete those if we want. We won't use them anymore. Makes things a little bit more efficient. But I'm a scaredy cat. I'm going to put them back. So that is our items calculated. We would also, of course, have to calculate our narcissism scale responses, but I'm going to skip that. I'm just going to have those ones, and then we're going to do some analysis in the next video. So please click on that and see what kind of analysis we can do with it.